Hello everybody, welcome back to Reading for Vocabulary. I'm your host, Brian Stuart. We're going over cycles still. We're still talking about cycles. As you remember, cycles are things that don't really start anywhere or finish anywhere. They just kind of go and they repeat again and again. But what we're talking about in Lesson 14 is what a farmer knows, and we're focusing on smart farming methods. So farmers think about cycles when they work. They have to know about cycles in order to grow the correct food for us. Of course, we need to eat, and farmers need to grow the food that we get at the supermarket, right? So what do farmers know about cycles? How do they use their knowledge to help them in their jobs? That's what we'll read about in this lesson. But again, before we do the reading section, we need to go over a vocabulary list to make sure we understand the reading section well. Let's go. So the first one, number one, and of course we can see a farmer here with some of his products, right? Now, when we talk about the farmer's products, we say the crop that is gathered at the end of a season. The crop, of course, means the type of food that the farmer's growing. When they gather at the end of a season, we call it the harvest, right? So this is a noun, and we say that it is all of the food that the farmer grows at the end of the season. Now we can talk about the harvest for one farmer, but usually we talk about the harvest and we mean all farmers for a region or a nation. So if we say the harvest was very good this year, we're usually talking about all farmers in our region. The harvest was very good this year, so there's a lot of food in the supermarkets, maybe prices are low. But of course we could also talk about individual. One individual farmer has a bad harvest and another farmer has a good harvest. So bad harvest, good harvest. It's the amount of food that they collect at the end of the growing season. Okay, next one. Number two, to put seeds in a field to grow. Well, what do farmers do? They put the seeds into the ground in the field to grow. They don't do it by hand so much these days. They usually use machines, but what do they call that? They call it to sow. To sow. And it's interesting. There's an expression, I think it comes from the Bible, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Reap means to harvest, to gather. At the end, you get it. But think about it. Whatever you put in the ground, that's what you're going to get. But not just planting seeds in the ground. If you lie, you're going to get a lot of problems. So if you sow problems, if you lie, if you do bad actions, what will you get from those? You'll get bad results. You reap what you sow. But if you do good actions and you tell the truth and you're good to your friends, then you will get a lot of appreciation and good things back from your friends. So that's a good expression to remember, and it uses the word sow. It comes from to put seeds in the field to grow, but also in our life, we're also sowing our life, right? Our actions are sowing the results that we'll get later on. So you reap what you sow. Sow is an irregular verb. We say sow, sowed, sown. Sowed, sowed, sow, sowed, sown. So we don't normally use this word in our everyday speech because we're not farmers, but sometimes we see expressions that do use this word. Okay, next one. To reach full growth. To reach full growth is to mature. And we need, of course, when we're talking about plants and crops like corn, tomatoes, apples, pears, we don't pick these things when they're young, when they're not mature. We have to wait till they are fully grown. Then we pick them and eat them. If you pick the tomato before it's mature, it's too small and it's green and it tastes horrible, right? But if you wait till it's mature and then you eat it, then it tastes good and it's larger. Okay. A plant grown by farmers. So any plant grown by farmers, we already used this word in explaining the first word, it's crop. So any plant grown by farmers is a crop. Usually crops are things we eat. For example, potatoes, tomatoes, celery looks like they have here, squash. Those are crops. But it's not just food. Because sometimes farmers will grow things that we don't eat, but that are used in for other purposes, okay? For example, like barley that's used to make beer, right? Well, some people will make food from barley too. But farmers don't just grow food, they grow many different types of plants that are not just used for food. But any plant that is grown by farmers, we call it a crop. Okay, next one. A substance that keeps living beings healthy. And on a lot of things we can see the different listing. It's a list of what? Nutrients, right? And we have this word here, nutrition facts. They're very similar. Nutrition has to do with the things that we have to eat every day to keep us healthy. And those individual things are nutrients. You should choose foods that have good nutrients and a lot of nutrients in them. Usually junk food, like hamburgers and French fries, don't have a lot of nutrients, right? Healthy food has many nutrients. These are substances that keep us healthy. Next one. To prepare the land for growing crops. Farming is hard work, right? Especially using this in a garden, in somebody's garden, what do you have to do to the soil? You have to cultivate. You have to prepare the land for growing crops. Now, in a big farm, they have big machines that will turn up the land. They will cultivate the field. And then it's ready so that they can put the seeds down. They can sow the land then. But this is what we call cultivate. Cultivate isn't just for farming. We can also use it for other ideas. For example, when you study, you are cultivating your mind. You're preparing your mind for later on in life, right? When you study different subjects. So you can cultivate your mind. Parents can cultivate their children. It just means that you're preparing them for something else. When you cultivate the land for growing crops, you are cultivating. Okay, next one. Good for growing, having plenty of nutrients. So if the land is good for growing, you can grow a lot of good crops there. And the land has a lot of nutrients in the soil. We say that the land is fertile. Fertile. And if the land is not fertile, we say it's infertile. In means not. So if you think of the desert, can you grow plants in the desert? No, you can't, because the desert is infertile. There's not enough nutrients in the soil. And of course, there's not enough water, okay? But if you see good, rich earth and you pick it up and it's black, all right, it's very dark brown or black earth, that's fertile soil. And it's good. It has a lot of nutrients in it. It's good for growing crops. It's fertile. Okay, next one. 8, to use again. And of course we know this symbol here. We see this in many places these days. But of course this is what you should do with your garbage. If you're finished with a plastic bottle, what should you do? You should use it again. You should recycle. Re means again, right? And cycle, we know that word, right? It goes in a cycle. So we recycle, we use it again and again. And this is what we should do with our garbage, right? Plastic here, paper here, metal here, other garbage in another place. Recycle your garbage. Then we can use it again. Number 9, and animal waste. Animal waste. When you think about animal waste, in a previous lesson we talked about this, right? About training your dog. Remember, you may remember, what do pets do? Dogs go poo and pee. Poo and pee. Of course, the poo is 냄새 na, right? Dung, right? Okay. And pee, of course, is the water. This is animal waste. Now, it's interesting because farmers use animal waste. They use it to feed plants. Did you know that, right? If your dog goes poo-poo next to a tree that's good for the tree because the tree uses that as there are nutrients in the poo-poo. Of course, it's very disgusting. We shouldn't, don't touch it, don't get near it. But plants like it, right? Because that's their food. Okay? So animal waste, and remember, we are animals too, so it can be human waste, not just your dog. Animal waste that is used to feed plants, we have a special word for it. We don't call it poo or pee or dung. We call it manure. Manure. And it's usually like cow manure or horse manure. It could be other types of animals, but usually it's cow manure because farmers have cows, a lot of cows, and what are they doing? They're pooing a lot, so they use that for manure. And in fact, that's an industry. Some companies make manure. That's their job. They take the animal waste and they make it into manure that looks like this, and they sell it to farmers. And so they transfer it. So that's an industry. That's a company, right? It's a very interesting business. Okay, next one. 10. Having a bad smell. Before I said poo is 냄새 나빠요, right? We say stinky. You can also say stinky. Oh, your feet are stinky. Oh, 냄새 나, right? You say your feet are stinky. Or somebody's breath, ooh, it's stinky. Or somebody's, underarm, stinky. Okay, stinky. Next one. 11. To take away, not shoes, but to take away means to drain. So imagine this poor guy here. His energy is drained. It's like a battery, right? Your cell phone battery. The battery is gone. You take away the battery power by using your cell phone. You drain the battery. Some people, it's like they have a battery, their body, they lose all their energy. They feel drained. I feel drained. That's some people can say that. It means I have no energy. It's all gone. Next one, acting in a smart and sensible way. So if someone acts in a smart and sensible way, what is this girl doing? She's pushing away the hamburger and the Coke. And instead of eating the hamburger, she's eating an apple. This is sensible. So she is wise. Wise is like smart. But wise also means you have a lot of experience. You're acting on experience. Smart kind of means you're intelligent. Maybe you know about how to solve math problems, or you know how to do that. But wise is more like life experience. If you know how to act in a sensible or practical way because of your life experience, you are wise. And that's usually why older people are wise, because they have more experience in life. So there's a little difference between wise and smart, right? Wise is usually because of past experiences. You act in a sensible way. Okay, next one. A big open space filled with plants. So of course this is famous. This is goryeo, is it right? You have the tea, the plants that they make tea from, green tea. Korea is famous for tea. And there's a place in Korea that is very famous for growing tea. It looks like this is a picture from that area or an area similar to that. But it doesn't matter if it's tea, it could be corn, it could be wheat. It's a big open space filled with plants. We call it a field. Okay? Farmers need, it's usually flat. Of course, if it's on a hill or a mountain, it's not a field really. It should be flat. And farmers need wide open fields to grow their crops. Field. Okay. 14. Absolutely necessary. So what is it? It's a seatbelt. Absolutely necessary. It's crucial. Now a seatbelt, some people may argue, well, seatbelt's not absolutely necessary, right? A lot of times I don't get in an accident. But nowadays, because of safety and because of the traffic laws, we think seatbelts are absolutely necessary. They're crucial. They're very important because if you do get in an accident, they're absolutely necessary to make sure that you are not injured or killed. So they are crucial. Crucial, something that's needed very much. Next one. Okay, I was talking about poop before, right? Clean up after your dog means scoop up the poop, right? Now, this definition though, unused food that the body gets rid of, right? Unused food, when you eat something, your body uses most of the food, but some of the food it doesn't use, and that food passes through your body. What do we call it? We call it waste, okay? Now, before you may have encountered waste too. Sometimes people refer to garbage as waste, and that's possible, right? Especially for like big factories or big businesses have a lot of waste. It's like extra stuff that they don't need. We call that waste. But we also call the organic, the food, the edible material that passes through our body and we get rid of when we go to the bathroom, we call that waste. Okay. Okay. Next word, last word, is facts and ideas that are known. Facts and ideas that we know. Those are knowledge. So think about that. Human beings are getting more and more facts and more ideas every year, every 10 years, every 100 years. The amount of knowledge that human beings have gathered together, especially over the past several hundred years, has grown by a lot. So we talk about that knowledge as, we talk about those ideas and those facts as knowledge. So facts and ideas that we know about, that's knowledge. There's many things we don't know about, but human beings are very curious. We keep learning about our environment. And so our area or our degree of knowledge keeps growing. Okay, well those are the words. Let's do the exercises, see how well we remember those words. Okay, number 1. We need to beep the field before we spread the seeds. So before you spread the seeds and put them in the ground, what do you need to do? You need to prepare the field. Is that pull, cultivate, sow, or cover? Remember, sow is spread the seeds. So we need to do something before we sow the field. We need to cultivate the field. Remember, cultivate means to prepare something. We need to prepare the field before we spread the seeds. We need to cultivate the field before we spread the seeds. Okay, number 3. We've cultivated, there's that word again, we've cultivated that field with plenty of manure. It is very beep. Okay, so again, part of cultivating, part of preparing the land is, like turning, making rows in it or breaking up the top surface so the seeds can get in the land easily. But another part of cultivating is putting manure on the ground, right? So when you put manure on the ground, remember manure has a lot of nutrients in it that's good for the plants. And when we say a plant, an area is good or has a lot of nutrients, it's good for growing, we say that land is fertile. We've cultivated that field with plenty of manure. It is very fertile or fertile. Some people pronounce it different ways. Fertile. So not useless, not marked, not understood, but fertile. Okay, next one. 5. You should beep that bottle. You can fill it back up with water. Fill it back up. So you have a bottle, right? A plastic bottle of water, okay? I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to use it again. I'm going to fill it back up with water because why should I throw it away, right? Still good, right? So what should I do? I should use it again. What word means to use again? A, recycle, B, harvest, C, believe, or D, crack? Of course, you know A means to use again. You should recycle that bottle. You should use it again because you can fill it up with water again. Don't throw it away. Use it again. 7. That plant is not healthy. Not healthy. It needs more what? What do plants need to grow well? What did I talk about before? What do plants need to keep their bodies strong and healthy? Not just plants, but also animals. Nutrients, crops, fields, or knowledge. Okay? Now we're talking about healthy, right? Not smart. Besides, plants can't think. They don't have brains. So right away we know knowledge is not the answer. Crops, no, because that's a type of food that farmers grow. Fields, it needs more fields. That doesn't make sense. It needs, of course, more nutrients. Nutrients are what living things need to stay healthy. So that's the answer. Okay, well that wraps it up for the vocabulary section. Let's take a short break and we'll come back and look at the reading together.